Why should you look at watches? Okay, what do you have on you that is not like what everybody else has? You have the same phone people have, you have the same Apple Watch everyone has. What's different? You have the ability to have a touch point on you that at the most basic, it is a style signifier. Watches are part of an outfit that even the younger people are latching onto as part of their look. Omega is one of my favorite brands. It is the brand a large amount of people will know. The main thing people will remember about Omega, besides its connection with the Bond movies, is that it went into space. One of the things I like about them is that they're a tool watch. They're a basic, robust watch that does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's very, very simple, and yet it's done these things that were done before all the marketing happened. My favorite watch of theirs is the Speedmaster. The Omega Speedmaster is a very classic, basic tool watch. It belongs in anyone's watch case. Omega is part of watchmaking history, and there's always a good one to have. Everybody should have an Omega. It's just a great daily watch. Panerai is this awesome brand. It started in Italy with no name whatsoever. It started because they needed to put equipment on the wrists of Italian divers. If you look at their original watches from 40 years ago or so, you realize that this was the Italian design answer to seeing watches underwater when you're about to blow up a ship. They had a brilliant answer to a technical question, and they did it with Italian style. Panerai basically has just two shapes. You either have the radiomir, and then they have the luminor. Panerai is actually, in a lot of ways, it's my example of how to take a niche market watch and make it more mainstream. So they're able to expand to a wider market while they're still able to hit the traditional Panerai buyer. IWC was started by an American, F.A. Jones, who went to Europe to make his fortune, created power plants, which in turn created the energy needed to create watches, and that's what IWC is. They will always have something interesting, whether you're starting your watchmaking collection journey or whether you are further up the line. You can have something as simple as a big pilot. You can have something as complicated as a perpetual calendar. They are committed to bringing a level of watchmaking to more people. Who likes them? People who appreciate the level of craftsmanship and detail and technology they have, but who also want something a little bit more accessible, a little bit more low-key than going to the insane houses. How do you pronounce JLC?
Jaeger-LeCoultre.
Why do we like JLC? They do their own stuff. If you go to their exhibits or their factory, you're gonna have this entire huge wall that is just movements. And they will also have things like gauges from cars because they used to produce gauges for cars. You'll have one movement that's this big, that's smaller than a battery for a quartz watch, and you will have something that's hugely intricate. They just have this heritage that nobody else has of doing their own stuff. For a first-time buyer, the simplest JLC watch is the Reverso. The Reverso was built basically to protect the watch when polo players were using it. You're not gonna get anything like it anywhere else. There's always a reason to have a JLC in your collection. You can build around that collection because they're all unique. Patek Philippe, the brand that makes them all live. The Stern family has a heritage to protect, and it's not just a heritage of Patek Philippe, it's a heritage of Swiss watchmaking. The fact that they are independent and family-owned and highly protective of their history, that's gonna be around when everyone else goes by the wayside. Patek Philippe will be appreciated by people who like fine watchmaking in its simplest form all the way up to its most complicated form. Patek Philippe Calatravas are considered by many to be the most beautiful watch faces in the world. It's a very classic design. They have this amazing sense of balance. I was in a shop and a customer came in and said, I want this Patek. I said, sir, we don't have that. Like, I can get it in Singapore, but I want to buy it here where it has my name. And the best answer I ever heard from them was by the salesperson. She said, that's not why you buy a Patek. You buy a Patek because when your grandson goes to Geneva, to the factory and has it serviced or whatever, they're going to see your name on it. And there's a heritage to this, and you're not going to get that with any other brand. You and I walking into a shop and buying something, it's past that. Watches were important because they allowed technological advances in medicine, in science, in exploration. If you didn't have proper watches and clocks, we'd be crashing into cliffs, we'd be crashing into trains, we'd be lost in the ocean. One person at a time would make one development that meant watches and clocks were slightly more accurate. That's what allowed us to travel the world. That's what allowed us to go into space. That's what allowed us to dissect the second, to basically split the atom, things like that. This is a link to history that predates all of us and will survive past all of us.